What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into NFL Schedule Prediction Show number 3 for the 2025 season. Riggs Tamburo, Caleb Nyberg, and Kenton Heidemann here for you guys today. We are going to jump on in here and talk about every single game on the board. But before we do that, we got to figure out who the quarterback's going to be. If you look at the depth chart right here, right now, today, Russell Wilson is the guy. Brian Dable has kind of come out and said, hey, look, we want a veteran guy to get this thing going. But they also have Jameis Winston, who's a veteran. Then they got Jackson Dart, the youngin', who obviously they made a big-time trade there in the opening round to go up and get. So there's a lot of question marks here for who will be the guy on day one. Kenton, let's start with you, my man. Looking at Russell Wilson. I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler guy, so I feel a certain way about this guy. I also was just living in Denver, so I've had to watch a lot of Russell Wilson. In your opinion, can this guy lead this team to potentially the playoffs?
I mean, there's a lot of questions surrounding whether or not Russ can or cannot lead this team, and a lot of those questions stem from the fact that Russ is known to be a very popular quarterback. He did very well in Seattle, won a Super Bowl with them, but it's kind of seemed as soon as he left Seattle, he wasn't able to get back into that same rhythm. Going to the Denver Broncos with Coach Nathaniel Hackett, they had a very tough season there, which eventually did lead to Nathaniel Hackett getting fired from the head coaching position. And then the next season was Sean Payton after the Denver Broncos acquired Sean Payton. He had a little bit of a better season there. They went on a 5-game win streak. But overall, he just wasn't able to get it done. Then we see him over at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They pick him as the starter once he's healthy. He manages to beat Justin Fields for that job, and he actually does make it to the playoffs. But I think the difference maker here between the Giants and the Steelers is that I kind of believe that the Steelers had a little bit more weapons for him and protection for him. For example, they had George Pickens at the time, who has now since gone to the Cowboys. But I don't think he has that same sort of weapon arsenal or protection with the Giants as he did with the Steelers. So personally, I don't know if I can see him taking the Giants to the playoffs, but I mean, I guess you never know. But Caleb, would you say that you would agree with that statement?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, he is the most decorated veteran in that quarterback room. It's either him or Jameis Winston. And I mean, gotta love the guy as a person, but when you're watching him, he's either gonna show you a great game or he's gonna go downhill. But I gotta go with Dart. I think he's gonna end up being the starter by the end of the year. Maybe probably not the first 3 weeks because they want the veteran playing. They want the younger guys like DeVito and Dart to just develop and then learn off of that. I think before we even go into talking about the season, I think he will be seeing that starting lineup by week 5 for sure.
Wow. By week 5. So I have a tough take on Russ because once again, as a guy who was in Denver, as a guy who's a Steeler fan, the one thing that I didn't think was fair last season was the fact that Justin Fields starts well. He gets the easiest part of the entire schedule, wins a couple games, maybe a couple good performances, but overall really didn't play great. The Steelers just played well as a team overall against some bad teams. And then all of a sudden they put Russell Wilson into the fire, coming off an injury, if you would. And he gets the toughest, not just the toughest part of the schedule, but the toughest schedule in the NFL for any quarterback's certain span of the season. So I kind of thought some of the criticism on Russ wasn't really warranted last season, but Kenton pointed it out here. The line for the Giants is horrendous. And I don't think Russell Wilson, who we've seen it at this point, if he runs, yes, he's got the guts to run, but he takes shots and he gets knocked out from it. He fumbles the ball way too often when he's running the ball. And then when he starts to panic in the pocket, he does a lot of really bad things. So I'm not convinced right now that Russell Wilson's the guy, but also I was a Shedeur Sanders guy. I believe they should have gone Shedeur over Jackson Dart. We've all seen the Gruden video. All right, let me see your snap count. Right? I just don't know if this dude is an NFL quarterback by week 4, week 5, like Caleb said. Now, like you said, I think they want him to be the guy by week 4 or week 5. It's just a question of you want a guy like Russ who can cheer on the team, bring up the support, etc. Maybe, or do you want the young, fresh blood saying, "Hey, we got to get in here. We got to start making something happen." Dable's got his job on the line. I just think there's a lot of stuff riding on this season, but it does feel like it's down to those two. I like Jameis. No, I'm sorry. No, I just don't think so. And then no offense to DeVito, but he's the fourth guy on the roster, as he should be. I don't think that this guy, depth chart wise, is going to see one game starting for the entire season. But all of that said, gentlemen, we will talk more about the quarterbacks as we get going here, but I do want to bring up the schedule and jump straight into what's going on. Really quickly, there's that depth chart for you. Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart, Tommy DeVito. Take a quick look at that overall wide receivers, running backs, tight ends who they got in support there. And you look at the line, really not a lot to brag about. But anyway, looking at the season here, game number 1, they are on the road at the Washington Commanders, a team that not only shocked people last year, is picked to make another really nice run here this year. Caleb, in your opinion, man, on the road, week 1 at Washington, do they come out, shock some people? Russell Wilson, first game starting W, or is this kind of a beatdown to open things up?
Yeah, I got to go with the beatdown because they're in Washington, and Washington is just coming off of a pretty hot season for their standards. And I think Jaden Daniels and that wide receiver core is just going to prove and show on display that they are the team who people are saying that they are. I don't know if Ken, do you agree with me on this?
Absolutely. We got Jaden Daniels at quarterback, the rookie of the year. I mean, really, they surprised a lot of people, but at the same time, I mean, I've kind of been a Jaden Daniels guy since day one. I kind of saw him coming into the league, being a big player, and I'm expecting the same thing this second season. And I don't think the New York Giants really just have anything to really challenge that.
This is a tough one for me because there's this little piece of me that wants to give Russell Wilson some credit here and say that there's a lot of people to prove wrong. It's a very motivated coaching staff and team. They got a brand new great draft from the defensive point of view. I think there's a lot to be excited about here, but it's a week 4, week 5, week 6 excitement. It's not week 1. We're going to go clean sweep across the board here. Washington, game 1, 0-1 here for the Giants to kick things off. Then they're on the road against Dak Scott and the boys over there in Dallas. If you watch this show, I don't like Dak. I don't like the Cowboys. I think CeeDee Lamb's overrated. I can't stand Jerry Jones, but they can't blind the vision here. On the road at Dallas, Kenton, you're saying a loss in week 1. Is it another loss in week 2?
Yes. No, actually, I take that back. I misread my notes here. No, I think that the Giants actually have a decent shot at coming away with a win against the Cowboys. I mean, sure, they don't have the home field advantage, but at the same time, I kind of agree with your Dak Scott statement there. For one thing, I think that he has a lot of holes in his quarterback game to start. Another thing that I also think is important is one of the bigger weaknesses with the New York Giants is their run defense. They were ranked 27th in rushing yards allowed, 24th in yards per carry allowed. And I mean, I think if anything is going to be a strength for this Cowboys team against the Giants, it's going to be running the ball. But in that running back room, as large as it is, there's not too many players there to brag about. So on the other hand, they do have CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver, but at the same time, like I said, I agree with you on the Dak statements. So I think at the end of the day, what we have here is a Giants victory against the Cowboys.
Wow, calling an early upset here, Caleb. You jumping on the upset train, or are you going to say, I'm sorry, but?
No, I'm sorry. I think Giants are also going to take a loss. Again, they're on the road. As everyone knows, Jerry World is not a good stadium to play in. And knowing the Giants, they're still not going to have everything on offense put together. It's going to be still rocky. They got a pretty good secondary, Dallas does, and I don't think they'll be able to get anything going on the run game as well. But I think Abdul Carter and Dexter Lawrence will definitely have a good game on defense. But defense doesn't always win games, right?
Maybe championships, but not always games. I'm kind of right there with you. This is a really tough one for me, man, because everything inside of me says, as a sports bettor, I want the dog in this game. I'm not laying points with Dallas, especially because Dallas is probably going to find their way to a 8.5 point favorite in this game, but we're not talking spreads. We are talking wins. I think it's ugly. I think it's just another reason I'll be on Twitter in the third quarter saying this dude is a bum, but they still find a way to win the game. So I'm going to go ahead and rock with Caleb on this one. I'm going to go Dallas to get the win. So 0-2 here start for me. Kenton, you got it what? 1-1, and Caleb at 0-2 as well. So that said, gentlemen, it doesn't get any easier, but you are at home this time. The Kansas City Chiefs come to town. Patrick Mahomes, redemption tour, as we call it here. It looks like Sunday Night Football, 8:20 p.m. Eastern time on NBC. So definitely a game you don't want to miss, but you might want to miss it at this point. Caleb, looking at this one here, could they shock the world on your record? First dub, Kansas City, lights on. Come on.
Wrong. I gotta say, Kansas City's gonna take the win on this one. It's gonna be a beatdown. They play prime time. That's always when they show out. Patrick Mahomes, yeah, Giants is building a good defensive line and middle secondary, but I don't know. Patrick Mahomes is just gonna be himself and then run RPOs, use Xavier Worthy as much as he can. Ken, what do you think?
I would agree. I think the Chiefs take this one. I mean, you really can't deny the talent of Patrick Mahomes along with Travis Kelce. And, despite last season where they went to the Super Bowl with a bunch of controversial wins on their record, despite all of that controversy around their wins, they are undeniably a top team in the NFL with one of the best quarterbacks behind the line. So, I mean, I don't really think there's too much to say about it.
Interesting. Fellas, I really want to go hot take right here. I really want to do it, but I just don't have it in me. It could be another one of those games where, yes, it's close, but at the end of the day, Butker's going to knock it through. It doesn't really matter. Give the guy the ball with 13 seconds. Ask Josh Allen what happens. They're going to find a way to win the game. I just feel like at this point, this is probably a hell of a lot closer to a 3-touchdown win than a game-winning field goal win. So I'm going to go ahead and rock with you guys as well on this one. Kansas City all day long, Sunday Night Football. Not a good start for Caleb and I, 0-3. Kenton got him at 1-2, generously, might I add. So moving on through here. Can these guys start to heat up a little bit? At this point, by the way, gentlemen, I got to ask the question, I guess, since we're here. Could it start to be Jackson Dart time at this point? We're walking into week 4. Caleb, you got these guys 0-3, and you're high on Dart. Kenton, you got him at 1-2. Caleb, is this where Dart gets the first start or not quite yet?
Not quite yet. I think he definitely has seen some reps in the second half of definitely week 2 and week 3, but okay. I don't think it's time yet. I think just give him 1 or 2 more weeks. Let's see if Russell Wilson plays out a little bit, and if it doesn't, then it's Dart time.
Ken?
I mean, I would agree. I don't think it would be time for Jackson Dart yet. I think definitely they will focus on development behind a veteran QB. And as you noted, I guess I am being a little generous with my record. I think Russell Wilson will be able to at least get them 1 win in the first 3 weeks. So given that, I think they will probably stick with him for a little bit longer before they change hands over to Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, though. If they do find a way to win one of the first 3, I think Russ is safe for at least 4, 5, 6 weeks here, honestly, just because you look at it and there is a very clear world that they start 0-4. To me, if you start 0-5, looking there at the New Orleans game, which we'll get to in just a minute, I think at that point you're going to have to be like, okay, whether it's Jameis, whether it's Dart, something's got to give here. Maybe you got to put Jameis in, start airing the ball out a little bit. Maybe you've already decided you're not going to make the playoffs at this point, so put in the rookie, let him get, over 2/3 of a season under his belt, whatever it may be. But Anyway, here we are back to back at home. Los Angeles Chargers. I'm not a Chargers guy, but man, oh man, did they have a good offseason. It was a great draft. It was a great free agency. And now here they are. Justin Herbert, is he ever going to break through? Well, if you're going to break through, you can't lose these games right here. So, Caleb, looking at this one here, man, Los Angeles Chargers at home in New York. Could this be a win?
I got to say no. I think Harbaugh in that offense is just going to light it up. McConkey coming off of a great rookie season. I think he's just going to keep that momentum going and just ball out. And I'm excited to see the Chargers play, actually, because, like you said, they got a great offseason. And I think Harbaugh is making the team that he actually wants. Ken, what do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Ever since Jim Harbaugh signed on with the Chargers, it just seems like they've just been making better and better moves when it comes to their signings. And that's along with the first round pick. They took a running back by the name of Omarion Hampton. And as I mentioned, the run defense, maybe they could take advantage with that with their running back room. They did just lose J.K. Dobbins, but I still believe that they could take advantage of the run defense weaknesses in the Giants. And that's just on top of the fact that they've been building a great team with Ladd McConkey, and Justin Herbert has been doing pretty good. He had a pretty good last season, went to the playoffs. So, yeah, I see the Chargers taking it.
You know, you mentioned Omarion Hampton, and I remember sitting there on the live NFL draft show with myself and Bryson Owens, and he is a diehard Denver Bronco fan, and he was livid that they let this guy fall. He was sitting right there. We hyped him up for the entire offseason and said how good this guy is. Stop sleeping on him. Everyone's talking about Jonty. We were like, look, this dude arguably is going to have the best career of all the running backs coming out of this class here. And we thought that they stole him. So I'm glad that you mentioned him. I think he's a major factor here. And honestly, I think this is right about the time in week 4 that he's going to start to really see the big time carry share here. I think it's a huge Omarion Hampton game. As much as I actually don't think Herbert has a good game here, I think this is a close one. This is a 19-17 ugly football game, a winnable football game for the New York Giants, but I painfully got to go with a late touchdown here to put things over there for the Chargers. So 0-4 for me, 0-4 for Caleb, and 1-3 for Kenton at this point. Now, time for the New Orleans Saints, man. And like I said, I'm not a Saints guy. I've looked at this roster up and down. It's horrible. I mean, I don't know. The Tyler Shuck thing, when they drafted that dude, that was when I said, okay, you know what? Everything that comes to you for the next 3 years, I don't give a shit. You deserve it. Don't even worry about it. How do you let Shador Sanders slip by? How do you let Jalen Milroe slip by and take a guy like that? I don't know. But anyway, here we are. This to me is a must-win football game. If it's Russ, he's fighting for his life. If it's Jameis, he's going to throw all over the place in this game. Now, the one thing that the New Orleans Saints do well is play defense. So, okay, fair enough. Maybe they find a way to make this a tough game. But I said it on the show, I want to say in either the Bills show or in the 49ers show. I talked about how the Saints are not going to be a team that averages more than about 16.5 points a game. Can the Giants score 17 points on this game? I think they can. I'm going to go with a weird, ugly, gross game. I'm going to go 20-16. Giants finally break through for me. I'm going 1-4 at this point. Kenton, is this another win for you to 2-3?
I believe that the Giants come away with a win against the Saints. They have not been doing too well in recent history, and it doesn't seem like they're getting much better. And that's really all I have to say about that. I mean, I think this is a win for the Giants for sure.
Caleb?
Yeah, I also agree. It's going to be a win. I think this is also when Jackson Dart gets his first start, because if you saw on the schedule, they got the Eagles the week after, and I think they want to just get him ready, get him seeing that field as much as possible before facing a big-time opponent like that. And I agree with y'all. I think drafting Tyler Shaw instead of Jalen Milroe or Shador Sanders or even Dylan Gabriel at that time, I think they just wasted a pick, and they should definitely feel ashamed for it against the Giants.
Bro, you could have took Will Howard. I mean, you could have had so many other quarterbacks, not no Dylan Gabriel, but outside of that, there was pretty much any option better than that option. Quinn Ewers, I'm not even a Quinn Ewers guy. I probably would have took Ewers over Tyler. So I don't know what they were doing or thinking, but Caleb, I think you nailed it here, man, with the whole, this is the get your feet wet game for Jackson Dart. If things aren't going well, you got to get one under your belt before Philly, because if that pass rush is the first team he sees, I just don't think that they would do it to him. I don't know why you would put your rookie in for that game. So it's either going to be New Orleans, or I think it comes after that against Denver. But then you got Philly again. So, hey, good luck to you. We'll see what happens. But, okay, so everybody going to go with a win here for the New York Giants. I really, really like that. So, Philly time, Thursday night football, Super Bowl champions, the daddy currently of the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. This is Philly, and it's Philly by murder. I'm going generously, 38-10. I think the Giants get walked. Caleb?
I think it's going to be like 42-7 for sure. It's going to be a loss.
All right.
I don't know. That Eagles team, once they really put it together at the end, they just really showed that they couldn't be stopped. Like, you got – if even the run game is stopped from the Giants, though, the Eagles are still able to pass it to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. And so they kind of have a really solid team built right now.
Kenton?
Yeah, I agree.
Shaka.
Sorry?
No? I just say, are you going to shock us? You gonna go left field here and say Philly lets one slip?
Oh, absolutely not. I think this is an easy win for the Eagles. I absolutely agree. And I mean, yeah, as Caleb was saying, they got a lot of weapons in not just the running back area with Saquon Barkley, but also in the wide receiver room. And I mean, and I've said it feels like a million times at this point, the run defense needs to be improved for the Giants. And with the offensive player of the year, Saquon Barkley, going against them, I do not believe that they have any shot at stopping him. I believe that this is definitely Eagles by murder.
Well, I got 38-10. Caleb's got 42-7. You got to give us a prediction.
I do got to give a prediction. I'm going to say, that's a hard one. I'm going to go bold here. I do not think the Giants score a touchdown. I think that at most they get 3 points. And I'll say around 47 probably for the Eagles there.
Fair enough. I was right there. I was at like that 38-3, and then I was like, oh, garbage time. I'll give them the garbage time touchdown there just to make things look a little bit less murderous. But anyway, here we are, a big time win for Philly. Not a chance here for the Giants in week 6. Then week 7, they are on the road in Denver. Very tough game here. You're talking about a Denver team that is really on the up and up. A lot of people predicting them to go deep. They found a way to make the playoff push last year. Got murdered by Buffalo week 1, but at that point, I kind of thought any of those 3 possibilities were going to get murdered by Buffalo in week 1. Or week 1 of the playoffs, wild card round. So for me here, Denver, I will say about this Denver team, they play very defense heavy. The Giants are going to have to try to play defense heavy in this game. I think they have a shot in this game. The big question is, Caleb, can they slow down Bo Nix here? Or is this one of those games where Bo Nix just starts dicing and there's just really no way to catch up?
No, yeah, this is definitely a game where Bo Nix has it clicking. He's going to connect with Cortland Sutton and just find every weapon that he has. This is Bo Nix's sophomore season, so he'll definitely show his improvement. And also, you got to give it to that defense. Passer Tane and that whole secondary, they have everything on lock. Ken?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. One of the best defenses in the league last season with the Defensive Player of the Year, Pat Surtain. And in the first round, they drafted Jahdae Barron, another corner. I mean, early on after he was drafted, Denver fans are already saying, is this the no-fly zone 2.0? I mean, I think I don't see much getting past this defense, and that's on top of the offseason moves that the Broncos have been making. They got Evan Engram at the tight end position. They just got J.K. Dobbins from the Chargers. Really, it's a team that just seems to keep on getting better, and I think that this is a win for the Broncos for sure.
That's a tough one for me because this is the game where I think Caleb kind of pointed it out. I think he gets a win against New Orleans if he's the starter by then, which in my opinion, that's the goal. So I think it's a win there. And then I think it's a beatdown by Philly, as we all said. And that's kind of all prepping for this game right here. I mean, you have a game where you probably let him open it up a little bit. You have another game where he goes up against arguably the best defense in football. And at this point, now you're sitting here going, okay, can he beat a top 6 defense in football? Finally on the road. It's more of a welcome to the NFL, big time win for that kid. I'm gonna go left field. I'm gonna go Giants with the win here. Bryson's gonna hate me for that one, and I'm sorry, but every year Denver have a couple moments where they really just make me shake my head, and it comes down to play calling, something late where you're just like, what, this shouldn't be a game. But I do think that the offense is going to struggle a little bit for Denver. They didn't quite add the pieces I wanted them to add. Evan Ingram was my number one land, though, for the offseason for Denver, and they did find a way to get that one done. So it was huge, but is it enough here? I don't think the run game is good enough, which means I think the passing game can kind of bite that way a little bit for the Giants in this game. So I'm going to go ahead and go Giants somehow, some way. Missed 52-yarder at the end of the game, Denver with the chance, and they just don't get it done. So Giants, a win here for me against Denver. Then they're back on the road this time in Philadelphia. Gentlemen, I think I could save us all the time and say this is an L. Does anyone want to contest that?
No, it's just going to be the same beatdown.
Run it back. All right, here we go. Now, they are back at home this time now. San Francisco coming to town. San Francisco got to prove a lot of people wrong. 6-11 last year. However, now we are talking about the team with the hardest schedule in the NFL, the New York Giants, and the easiest schedule in the NFL, the San Francisco 49ers. This is I don't want to say must-win game for the 49ers, but when we did that preview earlier, which you guys can catch that one on our YouTube channel at The Sports Forum. Click that subscribe button, drop a like. We appreciate you. I did have San Fran winning, so my pick is kind of already in here. I have San Francisco. Caleb, are you on San Fran here? Or after a kind of a tough stretch there for the Giants, is this a big-time win?
This is a Giants win for sure. I think the 49ers, they're going to do their classic good old offense, but I don't think that offensive line will be able to hold against Abdul Carter and the rest of that D line, because we've all seen the clips. Like, Carter is going to be a great rookie player this year, and I don't think that 49ers line will be able to hold it all 4 quarters. Can you attest to this?
Yeah, I agree with you. Abdul Carter was one of the big picks out of the draft. You know, he's had a lot of people talking about him being a good rookie coming into this season. And honestly, I'm going to agree with you, Caleb. I think that the 49ers are going to lose this one. I think now I'm not necessarily saying that the Giants are a better team than the 49ers. I just believe that the 49ers are one of the more inconsistent teams in the NFL. They have at the quarterback position Brock Purdy, who I'm not necessarily a Brock Purdy hater. I think he's a good quarterback, but there's no denying that he has been inconsistent, especially when he is missing a few key players. And they have lost a few key players in this offseason. So with that being said, I think the 49ers will find a way to lose this one.
All right, gentlemen. Interesting. I got to be honest with you guys. I just didn't see that coming. So I'm happy here. We got 2 wins and a loss for me in this position. So moving on through here to the team that I think the whole world bought in on last year. I didn't. I'm proud to say that. But I'm going to use the term because they use the term on ESPN. So we got zesty Caleb Williams up in the building, catching all kinds of flack in the offseason. Is this guy prepared? Is he focused on football? Is he too worried about social media and kind of almost being a menace to the public here? Caleb Williams, to a lot of people, is not a prepared football player at this point. Caleb, I know you're kind of in that younger generation. You like the Jackson Darts. You might like the Caleb Williams of the world. Is this a win for Caleb Williams and the Bears, or is this one of those games where at this point, hopefully, Jackson Dart goes on the road to Chicago, gets a huge win.
I'll definitely say it will be a tough game, but Caleb Williams in that offense will definitely pull out with the win. I mean, like we've seen early stages of the offseason, we saw a lot of linemen sign with the Bears, so Caleb Williams is definitely going to have that protection that he needs. And then he's going to have DJ Moore and Loveland back at tight end. He's going to have his weapons. And, yeah, I just think that the Giants will definitely keep it close, but Zesty Williams, he'll pull something off in the last minute and pull out with the win.
Kenton, I got to ask you, is Caleb Williams the future? And I ask that because this guy has to, in my opinion, get it done now, because you have all this hype as the first pick last year. In my opinion, you kind of fall on your face. I get it. He's a Bear. They got a bad line, whatever. But to me, the excuses are done. You have to find a way to make a playoff push this season. 9 wins. I think if you go 9 wins and you miss the playoffs, people can at least live with that. But their over-under is like 9.5 wins on the year. In your opinion, is this a make or break for Caleb Williams? And if he loses this game and the Bears aren't positive, could he be getting benched pretty soon?
I mean, I think there are definitely a lot of concerns about whether or not he can carry this team to a playoff run. I personally do not have a lot of faith in him. I'm not going to lie. I think last season was a major disappointment considering he was the number 1 pick out of the draft. I mean, there were heavy expectations, which sure, some could argue that kind of sets him up for failure. But at the same time, when you have the kind of resume that you have going in your college football career to the point where you're being drafted number 1, regardless of the pressure, there is still that expectation, and he did not follow through. In terms of whether or not we can say he is the future, I honestly think it's still a little bit early. I think that we would really have to see this season to know that for sure. But I would say that it is definitely make or break for Caleb Williams.
Make or break. I'm right there with you. And once again, it's just one of those games where you can't lose this one. This is just one of those ones. You're at home in Chicago. You're on that turning point of the midway of the season. You have to win this football game. So just to confirm, gentlemen, you have Bears and Bears. Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm going to – damn it. I'm going Bears. I don't like it at all. I'm already regretting it. I don't like it at all. I'm probably going to take the Giants at the spread in this game, depending what it is. But I don't think with it being in Chicago that the Bears let this go. You just compare player for player. And outside of the quarterback room, I think the Bears truly are the better team in every category. And even at quarterback, a second-year Caleb Williams, maybe a third or fourth-star Jackson Dart. Are we really going to say Caleb's not better? That's a tough call. So I'll agree with you guys with the Bears here on this one. Then, one of the teams that I'm incredibly high on, I have been incredibly high on, although they made a massive defensive mistake here in recent weeks, but the Green Bay Packers. This is a tough game. You're at home in New York. I will go first here. I think Jordan Love dices in this game. I think Josh Jacobs goes for 2 touchdowns, 110 rushing yards, probably about 50, 60 yards through the air. I think Jacobs is the one that murders them in this game. So I'm going to go ahead and go Green Bay Packers to kick things off. Caleb, are you with me or are you going against?
No, I'm with you. I got Green Bay. I think this is going to be Matthew Golden's highlight game for sure. Probably prove the point how he's the best rookie receiver. Mm-hmm. And I don't think the Giants will have anything to counter offer. Ken, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. This is an easy Packers win, in my opinion. And that's really all I got to say about it, honestly. I mean,
straight up. All right, man. I'm right there with you. Sweep for the Green Bay Packers in this game. No business. Then things don't get any easier. Now you got to take on the juggernaut of the division, the Detroit Lions, on the road, sold out Detroit. If you didn't see it, they sold out season tickets and regular tickets in about 17 minutes this year. So not going to be an easy game to go on the road and win. I'm going to go with a big-time W here for Detroit. We talked about that 38-10 whole thing earlier. I'm doing it again, but I'm going higher this time. I'm going to go 45-6 Lions. Caleb?
Yeah, Lions are definitely gonna tear it up that game. Like you said, how they sold out tickets. I mean, that's a loyal fan base, honestly. I mean, when they suck, they don't really like him as much, but those fans do love him at the end of the day. But Jared Goff and the rest of the crew, they're just gonna tear it up, and it's gonna be over before we don't even want to watch the game, if we're being honest. Like, let's be real.
Probably not. I'm kind of right there with you. Kenton, I got to ask you, though, man, whether it's Goff through the air or this running back tandem on the ground, what do you think is the reason that the Giants lose this football game? I mean, you could say it's 10 reasons, but what is the number one thing that they just can't stop it?
I'm going to say Jahmyr Gibbs. That is a very strong running back there. I don't know how many times I can mention this during this show. The run defense is not at all good. And this matchup kind of reminds me of Russell Wilson versus Jared Goff 2 years ago. I think it's going to go essentially exactly the same. The Lions are going to beat this team to the ground.
Fair enough. All right, guys. Detroit Lions, easy dub here in week number 12. Week 13, I'm starting to get excited here. This is Monday Night Football, 1st of December. Everybody knows December football is the best football. Say whatever you want about it. They're on the road at New England. I am very high on Drake May and the Patriots, shocking a lot of people this year. Easy call for a lot of people to say this could be where the Giants pull through. I don't think so. I think this is a statement win from the New England Patriots. I think Drake May dices in this game. Yes, it's probably a lower scoring game. Yes, it's probably cold as balls out there. But at the end of the day, I just don't see how the Giants are going to score more than about 17 in this game. And I think Drake May is good for 20 plus here. So I'm going to go 24-17 New England Patriots and another loss for the Giants. Kenton.
I'm going to say the same thing. I think the Patriots are going to come in strong for this one. I think it's going to be a close game. I would probably say about 21-10 would be my prediction of the score. But Drake May, I'm also very high on Drake May. He had some good moments near the end of last season. And, he's got a few weapons over there. They got Stephon Diggs now at the wide receiver position. And this may be a hot take, but I think Hunter Henry can also have some success in the tight end position. When Drake May took the starting job last year, we noticed Hunter Henry get more receptions, and I think those weapons are going to be useful for the Patriots in this matchup.
Caleb, we going clean sweep?
No, I think the Giants are going to win. I think Jackson Dart is going to put on a performance and he's going to shock America. I agree with y'all. I'm very high on Drake May. I think that was a great pick by the Patriots, but they got Stephon Diggs. Everyone knows that he's a locker room cancer. And thankfully, he was injured on the Texans, so he didn't affect them that bad. But, if you've been on social media, you've seen the stuff he's been doing, and the higher office is not really happy about it. But I just don't think that's going to be one of Drake May's best game. Simple as that.
Fair enough. And I do agree with you on the Diggs thing. Diggs is a whole head case in himself. It's kind of how I feel as a Steelers fan about George Pickens. I'm like, you know what? We are one bad news story away from I can't stand this guy anymore. So I was like, thank God, you know what? Get rid of him. DK Metcalf, welcome to the city. So I'm right there with you on the Diggs thing. But I do have to stick with my pick there with the Patriots. But Caleb going to go ahead and go Giants and break things up a little bit. Late bye here, week 14 bye. Probably a much needed bye at this point, though. Now you got Washington again. Before you had to go to Washington week 1. Now they got to come to you. I think at this point it's easy to say that everyone's kind of fighting for their season and a playoff push here. But for us, the Giants are not fighting for a playoff push. Do you, Caleb, believe that the Washington Commanders let one slip by here and Jackson Dart maybe kind of starts to get that momentum rolling heading into 26?
I do not. I think Jaden Daniels is just going to pick up where he left off in week 1, and he's just going to continue to tear it up and secure the high seed for the playoffs.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this is just going to be another case of Jaden Daniels leading his team to another victory against the Giants.
Man, the only thing about the Commanders is these division games, these cold road games, just they don't seem to show up very well and play good. But I'm done trying to talk myself out of it. I'm with you guys. I'm on the Commanders to get this game done as well. So down go the Giants again. Things aren't looking good, gentlemen. At some point, as we're looking here towards the end, start adding up your record prediction for the end of this show. But looking here, Sunday, December 21st, regular old first games on the board. Minnesota Vikings coming to town for the New York Giants. This is a Minnesota team that at this point we believe is going to be J.J. McCarthy, but it sounds like he's kind of behind in his development. They're not fully convinced yet. They almost kept Sam Darnold, but they didn't. This could be one of those sneaky games where maybe the Giants find a way to steal one if Minnesota is kind of in shambles. But assuming we're getting a Jackson Dart, J.J. McCarthy showdown, Kenton, which team gets this one done?
I mean, I think this is a very close one. I've had a tough time here making my pick. And the big question is, of course, J.J. McCarthy. Is he going to be able to lead his team to victory in this coming season? Personally, I think that given the Vikings roster, I think they still have some key strengths on that team that they could take advantage of. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one. I think I got to say that the Vikings take it, though.
Caleb, Vikings W, Giants sneak one out.
I don't know. That's also a tough one. I like J.J. McCarthy and Jay Jettis, so I feel like Minnesota will take that one. It'll be very close, maybe like a 21-17 win for the Vikings. But I think Jackson Dart will – I think he'll also perform in that game, but it just won't get the job done.
Yeah, Minnesota, this is more of a kind of spray and pray and hope kind of game. I think at this point they might be on that edge of like, oh, if Minnesota wins out, they have a chance at a playoff push, something like that. I could see them around 6-7 wins at this point. So to me, this is a must-win game for them. We've already talked about it. The Giants aren't in the playoff contention at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and rock with you guys. Maybe closer than expected, but a 2017 kind of win for the Minnesota Vikings in this one. We'll see what happens. Then we got 2 flex games, but week 17, Vegas Raiders, the final road game of the year for the Giants. This is a Raiders team, man. Ashton Jaunty, couple nice additions. Pete Carroll comes over. Geno Smith comes over. They got a lot to prove. People thinking this team could compete right away. They're not bringing over guys like Geno to not compete right away. Caleb, is this a game where the Giants steal one, or is this where Geno Smith and the boys probably punch that playoff ticket?
Yeah, I think Las Vegas takes it. Genty, I have a really strong feeling he's going to prove why he was selected high. And Geno Smith, I don't know if he'll have a great game passing, but he'll definitely be getting the job done. I'd say 2 touchdowns, 1 pick for him.
Okay.
And then I just don't think that the Giants defense will be able to handle it.
Yeah.
All
right. As much as it pains me to say, as a Broncos fan, I think the Raiders have to take this one. They have had an undeniably great offseason. I remember watching the draft when they picked Ashton Genty. I was very upset because that is a huge addition to that team. But yeah, I mean, as we've discussed, there are some great additions to this team. Geno Smith, Pete Carroll, Ashton Genty, runner-up for the Heisman. I mean, I just don't think the Giants are well enough equipped to handle this Raiders team.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not a big Jonty guy. I think he's overrated. I thought his Heisman conversation, I thought it was a little bit overrated. I'm just going to call it what it is. Bros at Boise State. Fuck out of here. I don't know. He's good. He's good. I don't think he's the next greatest thing since sliced bread. That said, I do think my comparison for him has been Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's one of those dudes that for about 3 or 4 years, he's going to tear it up. And then I think that's where he fades. And I think Amarion Hampton goes on to have another 3 or 4 really good years. And that's why I said I think he is the best overall running back coming out of the class. But I do agree with you. These first couple seasons against Jonty, this point in the season, you got to think he's starting to get real comfortable in the NFL. This is a bad game right here. Kenton, like you said, they can't stop anybody defensively. So what makes you think they're going to stop him now? Also, Caleb kind of pointed it out. Geno Smith can dice through the air. So he could pick this defense apart. Jonty could pick the defense apart. Pete Carroll's a wizard. So I don't know, man. This one all day says Raiders to get it done. Now, finally, nothing would make me happier than the Cowboys. All they got to do is win, and they're going to the playoffs, and they let one slip against the Giants on the road. The whole world's taking Cowboys money line minus 500. Dak Prescott chokes. Caleb, is that scenario potentially going to happen, or is this Dallas need this win and they leave nothing to chance?
Nah, it's definitely going to be a Giants win, and I'm going to be smiling the whole time. But I will say I think George Pickens will definitely find a fit, and I think that'll be a game where he does pretty well for himself, but just won't get the job done for him. And it'll maybe help the Giants see where they should start their rebuild in the offseason.
Kenton,
I got the Giants winning this last week. I just don't see the Cowboys really doing anything to get themselves to the playoffs for one thing. And I also just don't see them really doing much in the regular season. Otherwise, I think that they have some overrated players on that team personally. And yeah, I don't see them succeeding against the New York Giants.
Wow. Well, I'm going to hop on the gravy train just because nothing would make me happier than to see this happen. So I'm going to join you guys. This is the Giants. This is the win that the Cowboys fan base lose their shit and the Giants fan base lose their shit because they're like, why are we winning? This isn't good. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So I'm going to join you guys here on this one. So let's go with a Giants win in the final week of the year. Go ahead and add up your schedules there, gentlemen. Me personally, I have 4 wins on the year for the Giants at this point. So what? A cool 4-13, no big deal. Heading to Pittsburgh the next season, looking for another big-time draft there. But Kenton, what is your overall win record for the Giants?
I also have them at 4-13. I think that there's still so much to improve on this team. I don't think Russell Wilson, for one thing, is going to fix it. And I think Jackson Dart is also not necessarily going to be the guy this year after he gets started. And yeah, they're just going to have to try to make some moves this next season or the next off season to try to put themselves in a better position. But for now, I have them at 4-13.
4 for me, 4 for you and Caleb.
I also have them at 4 wins.
There we go.
It's a 1-win improvement from the season before, so I guess you can look at that from a positive side any way you can. But yeah, I don't think either quarterback in that room is going to be the savior right now. I mean, like I said earlier, Russell Wilson is just there as the prime veteran quarterback, and he's meant to teach all the other ones in the quarterback room, whether he likes it or not. But they definitely have a lot to look forward to next offseason. But I think this season, the wide receiver room will be very talented, and they'll definitely do better than what people believe.
You guys see the question on the board here. Can the New York Giants make the playoffs? I mean, can they? I guess, sure. Should have rephrased the question. Will they make the playoffs? The answer is no. They will not make the playoffs. Like we mentioned, the hardest of 32 teams. Russell Wilson's the starter week 1. I mean, hey, say a prayer. Best of luck to you. Aaron Rodgers didn't want to play so bad for this team that he said, if I don't go to Pittsburgh and my only call is the Giants, I'm retired. No one wants to touch this football team right now. So all that said, guys, we got 4-13 across the board for the New York Giants here this season. So we'll see what happens. But until the next show, make sure you guys tune in. We got a lot of these coming out for you. Once again, this is show number 3. We've done the 49ers, the Bills, and now the New York Giants. So make sure you guys tap in and join us for the rest of those. YouTube channel at The Sports Forum. Click that subscribe button. We appreciate you. Also, you can watch on Twitter at Sports Forum CO, LinkedIn, and Instagram as well. Kenton, Caleb, and myself, this has been What's Your Take. We'll see you guys in the next one.